So I resubscribed with Bella's Steak and Butter Gang, and I'm doing their 90-day challenge, and I promised that I would do at least a weekly update. I do have weight loss to report. I'm going to be talking about a new toy that I bought and a book that I've been reading and another product that I really like, and I've got an update on my scalp issue, which I haven't spoken about for a while. Hi there, my name is Sue. Welcome to my channel. If you've not been here before, I've been eating a carnivore diet now for just about 2 years, and as I said, I've just resubscribed to Bella's Steak and Butter Gang. I've actually been in there before, so I was there about 2 months after I started on carnivore back in 2022, and I did 60 days of the 90-day challenge, but I really struggled. I couldn't follow the program. My gut health was just too bad, and so I ended up quitting and deciding that I would leave it until things had settled down before I went back. And so it's taken me 2 years to get this body into a place where I think that I can actually now do the 90-day challenge with all the feasting and fasting. So I joined at the beginning of this month, so May, but then I had some family stuff going on, so I decided I'd leave it until after all that had finished. So I basically just started. So this has been pretty much my first week on the program. It's probably been actually about a week and a half, because I did a 3-day prime and then kind of started doing the fasting. So I'm going to talk more about that towards the end of the video, but I'm just going to talk as well about what I've been up to over the last week or so, and just some thoughts on a couple of different things. So my first thing that I was going to talk about is my exercise inconsistency. I get really pissed off with myself because, I used to be so consistent with exercise. I always made time for it. For, over 20 years, I was like that. I was an exercise junkie and always did it. And then the last 10 years that we've been, since we moved back into New Zealand, and my health deteriorated, and I ended up with the problems with, mold illness and stuff. If you haven't seen that, go back and watch some of my videos. My exercise just stopped. I didn't have any energy to exercise, and so now I'm kind of trying to get back into it. And even just walking, I've been walking fairly consistently in the mornings, and then we had about 3 days of rain, and then we've had, I think, 3 days that has been fine since then, and I haven't been for a walk, and it's bugging me. But what I find myself is that I have to do it first thing in the morning. So if I want to exercise, if I want to meditate, I really need to do it as soon as I get up, because otherwise, if I don't do it, I just procrastinate. And I've always been like that. So I used to make the time to do it in the morning most of the time, all those years that I was exercising regularly. But and then because I was kind of more into it, if I didn't have time in the morning, I would make time later in the day. Whereas at the moment, if I don't do it in the morning, I just don't do it. I think about it, and 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 I don't do it, and I'm fighting with myself, but if I actually go out and do it, I really enjoy it. So I might see if I can get out for a walk after I've recorded this video. It's a beautiful day outside, and I'd like to get out in the sun. So we've already been out this morning. We went to the local markets and had a look around there, and that was just a nice kind of outing. It's not a very big market, but it's quite good for our little town, and just had to go and get a couple of little bits and pieces at the shops and came back again. So yeah, the exercise for me is something that I thought I'd mention, because it might make me actually do it. If I start talking about it and how I'm not doing it, then it might actually make me do it. Have a little bit of accountability, perhaps. So the exercise is a thing. Now, the other thing that I've been doing, I mentioned this in one of my other videos, that I was waiting to get this book. So it's called Rewire Your Anxious Brain. I'll put a link to that below the video. It is a really good book. So if you've been following my videos, you know that for me, anxiety has been a huge part of my life. And, for a lot of people who are suffering with anxiety, they go into carnivore and it goes away. But for me, that hasn't happened. It's better. I'm a lot kind of steadier, I guess, but it's still there, and my whole anxiety issue, as I've spoken about before, it's always been there, but then it's all got tied up with my bowel issue and the diarrhea, and it's just become a real problem in my head. There's kind of this repetitive thinking in that. And so I've been trying to work out how to actually move past that. Now that my gut is settled down most of the time, it does get upset still sometimes. I had a day yesterday, I think I had pork ribs 2 nights in a row, and I put spices on them that I hadn't been eating, and I think probably between the spices and the histamine from the pork, because the pork's higher in histamine and then they're longer cooked, I think that kind of might have upset things for me yesterday. And so, you know, I still have my days, and then when I have my days like that, the kind of anxiety kicks in more, especially if I'm working, if I've got things I've got to do. I mean, yesterday we had a visit from some friends that we don't know very well. So these are a lovely couple that I actually met her. She came to me as a client, so she came to me a few times as a client. Now I didn't see her for ages. And then we saw them at an event maybe about a year ago, and got talking. And they'd been kind of thinking about the carnivore diet, so we were telling them about it, and they were quite inspired. And so they've actually been watching some of my videos. So if you're watching, hi, you know who you are. And they came for a visit yesterday. They've been doing carnivore for about 3 months. And so they were just kind of asking some questions, and we had quite a bit to chat about, and it was a really good afternoon. But, you know, when she messaged to say that she was coming, that I instantly feel that anxiety, and it affects my bowel, and then, you know, and it was already, you know, so I won't go into detail, but it's just, it kind of starts to wear you down after many decades. And so I really want to be able to work that out. And so I had been looking at a couple of different organizations that do online work with this sort of thing that have got quite good reviews, but they're just too expensive. And so I had a look and found this book on Amazon. It's got about 3,000 or 4,000 reviews, really good reviews. So I ordered it, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. It explains the difference between the cortex and the amygdala, and, you know, that both of those separate areas of the brain can cause anxiety, and they can affect each other. And so I'm kind of working out what's going on with me. It's both, but it's very much my amygdala, which is the automatic part of the brain that you kind of don't have real control over. And so the book teaches you how to rewire that. And so I'm kind of getting to that piece at the end. And I'll talk more about this once I've gone right through the book, and I'll let you know how I actually get on with it. But it's actually really helpful understanding how the anxiety works, and the difference between the cortex, because that's the thinking part. And as I've said, I have these repetitive thoughts that I know are part of the problem, but my problem is, how do I switch those off? And then there's also the other part that just kind of seems to kick in without any thought, and that's the amygdala. And I think I know mostly what has set that off, and but I don't know how to stop it, and that's what I want to know is how do I stop that? And apparently it is about there's different ways that you can do it, and actually create new connections in your brain and in your amygdala to stop that from happening. So fingers crossed that this actually works, and as I said, I'll keep you updated. So the next thing I was going to talk about is that I bought this thing called an Activator, and I'll show you it. This is it here, the Activator. The company that I get my mineral drops from, so I've spoken, I think, on 1 or 2 videos about the mineral drops that I use, the Trace Ocean minerals, and how much I love those things. I put them in our water, we distill our water, and then we use those in them. I've been on their website a couple of times because they're out of stock with the Trace Ocean minerals, and have been for a while, which is a little bit annoying, and so I've had to try another brand, and I don't like the other brand as much. They're okay, but they're not the same. And I saw this Activator, and there's actually a video on the page about how to use it and the results that come from it, and I'll link to this below as well, okay? And so what it does, it's a type of slapping therapy. And so when I saw it, I Googled slapping therapy, and you could just get all these articles about this Chinese man who was teaching people to slap themselves, and somebody died and he's gone to court and all the rest of it. So completely different thing. But this thing here, what you do with it is, if you've got, for example, the man who owns the company that makes these things, he had a sore knee that had been sore for a lot of years. And so when you're hitting it, you slap it, and there's certain ways that you use it. He goes into all that on the video. But what it does is it brings out the kind of stagnant energy, stagnant blood and lymph and everything from that area. So like, I know as a massage therapist of 30 years, I've been doing this for 30 years, that there is stagnancy in people's bodies, and sometimes it's really hard to get that to shift if it's been there for a long time. And so, you know, like, I know that with regular repeated massage, which is really expensive, you know, to keep going to somebody and having them work on a specific area, you quite often shift that, but it takes a lot of time. And I mean, you can do some of that with cupping and gua sha, where you're pulling and scraping, you know, and getting the stagnancy to come out of the tissues. But this works in a different way. And when I saw the results that he had on the video and how this actually worked, I was really intrigued. And so I ordered this. They were out of stock, but I managed to get one. When I looked today, they're out of stock still in the US, I think, but they do have them in Australia and Canada and the UK. So I would imagine that the US will be soon, because they were out of stock everywhere when I first looked. And if you go to their website from my link, you can actually change. If you go to the top kind of right hand side, there's a little flag, and you can change to the other countries to see if they've got them in stock. All right. So so I've been experimenting with this the last few days, and I've got a crook shoulder. My left shoulder both my shoulders were really bad prior to Carnivore. They were both giving me a lot of jip, but this shoulder here has had something that's been kind of ongoing that just doesn't seem to want to go away. Now it's a lot better, and it's moved, because it used to be kind of the whole shoulder, but now I just have something going on right at the insertion of the deltoid, and I haven't been able to get that to shift. And I've had a lot of time just lately where it's kind of aches down my arm, and it aches when I'm in bed at night time, and you know, I'm going and having treatment on it, but it's changing, but not enough. So I thought I would try this on there, which I did last night, and but it was really difficult doing it to myself just because of where it is. I thought I should probably get hubby to do it, but at this stage it's quite sore after being done. And I'm not sure whether I did it enough because it was awkward for me to do. But I'll do more videos. Like, if this actually really works well, I will do more videos on it and the results that I'm getting from it, because there's other areas. I mean, I have a lot of trouble because of my work. I have a lot of trouble with my forearms. I get a lot of tightness and kind of, I guess, stagnancy in the muscles in my forearms. I actually did some work with this here. It was the first place. You can actually see I've still got a bit of a bruise there, but there's no pain. So the day that I did it, it came up in a bit of you could feel that it was a bit of a lump, and it was red and kind of bruised. And then it changed fairly quickly, the same as in his videos. But I can see that I hadn't actually looked at it in the mirror. I could see in the camera here, I can see that it's spread out, because it was a lot kind of smaller to start with. So it is spreading out the way that he shows in the video with his knee and another lady's knee that he had taken photos of, that he'd worked on. So yeah, so it's a really interesting kind of concept. And you know, like with his knee, after having years of knee pain, he did his knee, and he's not having any problems with it anymore. So I think it is, you know, you get kind of stagnancy and toxins and things like that in areas in the tissue where, because the blood can't flow properly and the lymph can't flow properly, and then there's the energetic side of things, you know, with the chi moving as well. So whichever way you want to look at it, there is just a lack of flow and lack of stagnancy, and that's what this seems to affect. So I just thought I'd pop that in there. And another product I wanted to say that I love from their company is this Ease Magnesium. So I've used magnesium sprays for a lot of years, and then I'd kind of forgotten about it. It's weird, like, you do things for a long time, and then you just kind of, I don't know, something changes and you forget. And so I had this sitting in the drawer and hadn't used it for ages. And because the magnesium sprays that I used to buy in Australia, I remember they used to sting your skin. They were quite kind of stingy and sticky feeling. This one's not. The Ease one doesn't sting, and it's not sticky. It doesn't leave any kind of yucky residue on your skin. It's actually really good. And so I've been listening to a gentleman by the name of Morley Robbins, and he talks a lot about copper and iron and magnesium. And so listening to him made me really kind of think about the magnesium thing. I thought, I'm actually not taking any magnesium. My intuition had been telling me that I needed magnesium, but I've been kind of ignoring it. So I've ordered some magnesium glycinate, and I've been taking that at night time. And then I've been using this in the morning after my shower. And I think it's making a difference already. So this stuff here, 10 sprays is 22 milligrams. Sorry, one spray is 22 milligrams. So if you're using like 10 sprays, that's 220 milligrams of magnesium. I usually in the morning use about 20 sprays, so that's 440 milligrams of magnesium. And I mean, you can do that a couple of times a day if you want to just use that. And they sell this in all different size, a couple of different size bottles. They've got this size, and they have packs with more in them. And then they have a big, I think it's a 1 litre or 2 litre bottle that you can use in the bath, or you can refill or whatever. So I'll pop a link to those down below as well, because this is a product that I highly recommend. I really, really like it. As far as magnesium sprays go, it is the best one that I have tried. So yeah, so that's the magnesium. I'll be talking more about Morley Robbins' information as well. If you want to go and have a look at his interviews, he's really interesting. He's got a very different, I'm just looking at a kingfisher out on the garden. It's really big, it's quite big, almost looks like a kookaburra. If you've been in Australia, it's probably about half the size of a kookaburra. It's quite a big kingfisher. So anyway, back on track. I will be talking more about Morley Robbins probably in the future, and I would actually like to interview him maybe, because his information about copper and iron has really got me intrigued. He's saying things that I haven't heard before, and he seems to be very knowledgeable and very well researched. So, but his first interest was magnesium, and so he talks about how those three elements work together. And his theory is that we are all, most of us have iron dysregulation because we're not getting enough copper. So we've been taught that copper is toxic. We've also been taught that vitamin A is toxic and to be scared of it. Whereas he's saying that we need vitamin A from animal sources, not plant sources, and we need copper because otherwise iron is storing up in our bodies and causing oxidative stress. So that's one of the reasons, I guess, why the carnivore diet helps people, is because they are getting more vitamin A and copper, especially if they're eating organs. So I'm now taking the liver capsules every day. When I realised that hubby and I both had double MTHFR variations, and how badly, for myself in particular, my methylation pathway is affected, I kind of realised that, hey, we should probably be having 100 grams at least of liver a week. But I was still kind of iffy about taking the capsules every day because of the copper and vitamin A thing. You know, when I was diagnosed with pyroluria when I was 50. And at that time, I looked lots into copper and zinc, you know, and I actually went on a low copper diet for a long time, and was purposely trying to eliminate copper from my diet, from my body. And so if Morley is correct in what he's saying, then I've probably done myself some damage there as well. And so now I'm taking the full dose of liver capsules every day, and so is hubby. And we're kind of thinking about maybe going and donating blood. We've never done that before, but just listening to Morley's information, I'm kind of like, I don't know. So if you don't know, if you want intrigued, go and have a listen to him, because he's really, really interesting. And I just, you know, suspect that maybe he's right, and he's kind of a lone voice out there saying these things that potentially the those with financial interests and keeping us sick don't want people to know, is what I'm kind of thinking, because what he's saying is that there's a whole lot of studies that just get ignored, and so he digs into those studies. He reckons he read 10,000 studies in 10 years, and he's obviously got an amazing memory and a capacity to retain information. And so I would actually like to see him talking to maybe some of the doctors, or even someone like, I thought it'd be interesting for him to have a chat with Bart Kay. I think that would be an interesting conversation. But yeah, so yeah, check him out, and if not, I'll be probably talking about what he's talking about in the future, because he's kind of got me intrigued. What I was going to talk about today was my scalp issue. I haven't mentioned that for ages. Like I did a video on it, I don't know, it might have even been a year ago. And basically what happened with me was that 6 months into carnivore, I developed this really gnarly scalp issue. And I didn't have really a scalp issue prior, just a little bit of psoriasis, a little patch that I used to get up here. But I had psoriasis quite badly on my scalp years ago when I was vegan and vegetarian, and so it had kind of gone away, and it went away when I actually started using the doTERRA hair care products. And so I just thought that, well, the oils have resolved it, and it's gone, apart from this little patch that would kind of come and go just up in my hairline up here. But then, yeah, about 6 months into my carnivore diet, I ended up with this itchy, flaky scalp that has been driving me nuts. And it was so bad a year ago. It was just diabolical. I had skin all over the house. It was everywhere. If you look at my old videos, I forget about it. I'd have it all over my shoulders. It would be all in the bed when I got up in the morning. It would be all over the couch. It was all over my computer keyboards, all over the chairs. It was everywhere, and it was just crazy. But I didn't want to use anything to suppress it, because I know that when you suppress skin issues, all you're doing is pushing them back inside the body, and then it's going to try and manifest other ways, or it's just going to take longer to resolve. Now, I kind of suspect that whatever's been going on with this, I think that oxalate dumping has been making it worse, and I think that histamine also makes it worse. But it has been gradually improving. So it's been about 18 months now. And I know that other people have this problem as well. So Lillie is one who has spoken about this on her videos. And I've seen other people talking in comments about how they've had it. So it's basically like a psoriasis or a seborrheic dermatitis. I don't know what it is, but it's in my case, it was all over my scalp initially. And it felt like shark skin kind of. It was really like sandy, like it was sand all over my scalp. And then all across the back here was just really lumpy and scaly and gnarly. Now, all that sandy stuff has gone. It's still a bit itchy up the top, but there's nothing up there to feel anymore. Across the back of my scalp varies. So sometimes it'll get quite lumpy and then it'll go down again. And I get a couple of really scaly patches, mostly behind that ear. This ear, yeah, a little bit as well. My glasses aggravate it, I find. And so what I've noticed is that after I eat, especially at night time, it'll come up all lumpy across the back on the base of my skull. And so that's why I think that histamine is affecting it, because I've kind of got this ongoing kind of histamine issue. And as I've spoken about in prior videos, I have genes that affect histamine. So I've got the 3 gene variations that can affect histamine. So I kind of suspect that there's kind of a bit of a combo of things going on there. But I remember when it kicked off. So I'd been watching a video by Elliot Overton on EO Nutrition, and he was saying that it can be a deficiency in either riboflavin or B2 or biotin. Now, when he said that, I kind of looked at the sources of those foods and kind of thought, oh, well, it should be right. And I think I actually spoke about this in one of my videos about making yogurt and kefir, about, making my kefir in the cupboard so that riboflavin wasn't destroyed and all that sort of stuff. So then over time, I kind of forgot about that. I knew that it was a thing, but I wasn't too focused on it. But just recently, I kind of revisited his video again and listened to it some more, because I did a high-fat version of carnivore for 7 weeks just a couple of months ago. And what I found was that my scalp actually got worse while I was doing that. Now, I didn't actually put the two together until I listened to Elliot's video again. And what he is saying in there is that vitamin B2 and biotin are both required in higher amounts when we increase our fat. And so I went, kind of penny dropped like a year later, or over a year later probably. The penny dropped and I was like, okay, so I don't think that biotin would be a deficiency for me. I eat bucket loads of eggs, lots of eggs, and so, but it still could be, I guess. But I decided that I was going to buy some riboflavin and try that first. And so I ordered some riboflavin capsules, vitamin B2. They're 400 milligram capsules, and I'm taking 2 of those a day. So I've been doing that now for probably about 2 weeks, I think, and there has been some improvement. So my scalp is nowhere near as flaky, and it's not as itchy, and just every day it just seems to be getting a little bit better. Now I'm also taking, as I said, I'm also taking liver supplements every day because they've got B2 in them as well, and so I'm just kind of picking that might be what my problem was. So if you've got a problem with flaky scalp, with seborrheic dermatitis, be aware of that. It can be vitamin B2 or biotin, so you might need to try one or both of those and see if they help. And I'm wondering if, my question is, how long do I need to take the supplement for? So I'll probably take it until my scalp clears up completely, if it does that, and then stop and see what happens. Because it was improving anyway, I'm kind of guessing that my nutrient status for that was probably increasing just slowly. But as I've said before, I think I probably had loads of deficiencies when I started on Carnivore, because I'd had diarrhea for so long and I wasn't digesting my food for so long, and it was just, a lot of it was passing through me undigested. So I think that there was probably some fairly massive nutritional deficiencies, and that's why it's taken so long for things to heal in my body. So I kind of think that taking the high dose of riboflavin for a while is probably going to hopefully sort this out. That's what it feels like, because it is getting better and better and nowhere near as flaky. Still quite lumpy across the back, but yeah, it is definitely improving. And if I get to the end of that bottle and it hasn't improved enough, I'll probably get some biotin as well and take that as well. So that's where I'm at with my scalp. And as I said, if you know anybody who's got that issue, then tell them to have a look at getting some B2 and some biotin, either or both, just if they have a look at their diet and see what they're eating and where their deficiencies are more likely to lie, or just take both and see how you go. So all right, now what else? So I have talked about that. I kept a little list here on my computer. So the last thing I was going to talk about, of course, was my joining the Steak and Butter Gang again. As I said, I was in there before and just couldn't follow their plan, and so I stopped, and now I'm finally back there, and I'm quite happy to be. It's a really good group, and you know, there's quite a lot of support in there, especially as the weeks go on. And I like their plan. I like their plan and the way that they have their calendars set out with the priming and fasting and everything else. So if you've not seen my video, I did a video just, I don't know, last week or the week before, talking about how I've set myself a weight loss goal, and I've set myself a goal of 10 kilos over the next 90 days. So we will see how that goes. As I said in that video, that's a big lot of weight for me, considering I've only lost 8 kilos in 2 years, but we will see what I can achieve with this whole feasting and fasting thing in the Steak and Butter Gang. I'm optimistic, so I have until the middle of September. That will be my 90 days up, so we will see what happens. So at this point, as I said, I waited for a couple of weeks, and then I primed for 3 days. So what priming means is that you are eating 3 meals a day until comfortably stuffed. And so for some people who are just new to carnivore, that can go on for weeks or months, just depending on where they're at with their appetite and their nutritional status in their bodies. When I first started on the Steak and Butter Gang, I was priming just about most of the time, and I carried on priming for quite a while afterwards because I was just super hungry. So, but because I've been on Carnivore for 2 years, I decided just to do the 3 days, and that was absolutely enough for me, because God, I'd had enough of it after 3 days. Felt like I'd eaten so much food. So once I had done that, then I did my first fast. I did a 36-hour fast, so it could have been anywhere between 32 and 42 hours. I did 36 hours just because that kind of fitted in with my work schedule. And then I did 2 meals a day for 3 days. And then I've just finished a 41-hour fast today. So I broke my fast about 12:30 today, had lunch, and I'm going to have dinner later. So that'll be 2 meals today. So I've got to make sure I get plenty in those 2 meals, because I'm fasting again tomorrow for probably another 36 hours. So I'll go from tonight at dinner time, and I'll go through to Tuesday morning keep getting distracted, things out the window. I'll be going through to Tuesday morning at breakfast, so that will be about 36 hours. And then I think I do 3 days of 2 meds again, so 2 meals a day again, and then I'll do a 48-hour fast. So, and I don't know what comes after that, I haven't looked. So that's where I'm at with that, and that's what I'm doing. And the fast, the first fast that I did, the 36-hour one, when I broke it, I felt good when I broke it, didn't have any digestive issues. But I woke up at 4 o'clock the next morning, so that was dinner. So I broke it and I ate like just over 2,000 calories in that one meal. And then I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and had to get up and go to the toilet, and had a bit of bowel issue that day. And I think I was oxalate dumping. I think that was part of the problem. And I'd also worn a castor oil pack on my liver when I went to bed. So I don't know whether that had something to do with it as well. But I think that I was oxalate dumping even before I started the fast, because my oxalate dumping now is a little bit more subtle, so it's a bit harder to tell. I don't have the real telltale signs that I used to have, but I'd had a couple of days where all the muscles in my all of my back and my shoulders and that were really sore, like they get like a burny sore, and so that had been happening. I think I actually ended up with a very slight nosebleed in those couple of days, just a very slight one. And then when I did my fast, there was a couple of things that's just kind of made me think, oh yeah, maybe I am oxalate dumping. And then waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and having some bowel issues through the morning, and part the way through the day, I kind of suspect that was oxalate. So I'll be interested to see how I go after today. So I broke my fast today with some bacon and 5 poached eggs and butter, and feeling fine right now. Like the gut feels fine, and so I'll see how I go tonight and tomorrow morning after eating, because I'll having tonight for tea. I'm having some pork belly and some roast beef. I've got roast beef in the oven, and I'll probably have some butter and stuff just to make my calories up, to make sure I've had enough food, because I'm going to be fasting again for another 36 hours. So the other thing that I wanted to say is that with the fast that I've just done from my last weigh-in, which was a few days ago, I'm down another 600 grams. So that's 2 kilos in the last month. That I'm down, so I'm pretty damn stoked with that. So long may that last, and I'm interested to see what happens after the next couple of fasts. So yeah, so that's where I'm at this week. I think that's all I was going to talk about. If you have any comments or questions, please pop them below. If you're thinking about joining the Steak and Butter Gang, I'd suggest to have a look at it, because it is a good community, especially if you wanted to lose weight, or if you're interested in the fasting side of things. It is a good community to get into, just to learn and to have some support. The other thing that I was actually going to mention in my videos at the moment is that I am thinking about actually creating a community, because I'm having problems answering all the questions and stuff on my videos. And so I've been kind of mulling over. I set up a membership here on YouTube, but I don't know that that's the best place to have it. And so I'm kind of thinking about setting something up on another platform, and I'm kind of wanting feedback, whether you would be interested, whether you think it might be worthwhile, because I know I've got people who are kind of following my journey now sort of fairly regularly. And because what I thought is that people who are having issues with not being able to lose weight, or not being able to resolve their gut issues and that sort of thing, the things that I've kind of been through, if we set up a community, then we might be able to help each other, and that's kind of what I thought, because YouTube's not the best place to do that, with the way the comments are, it's not the best place. And so I've actually put a page onto my website, and I'll pop that link below as well, where you can give me your feedback on that, whether you would be interested, not interested, maybe interested, and any suggestions. Because if there's enough interest, I'm going to keep mentioning this on my videos. for a while, because if there's enough interest, then I will set that up. But until there's enough interest, then I won't bother, and I'll just keep trying to get to everybody on YouTube. But as I said, it's getting hard because there's more and more. So yeah, so that's it. If you, as I said, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe, like and share with anyone you think might be interested, because that helps to support my channel. And I thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you again another day. Goodbye for now.